It is only on the gemstone that we see the dust. The pebble may be soiled, and we never regard it. His manner was unembarrassed, plain, and firm. He appeared to have complete reliance on his own native good sense for directing his behaviour. He seemed at once to perceive and to appreciate what was due to the company and to himself. His motions were firm and decided. His countenance was manly and intelligent, marked by a thoughtful gravity which shaded, at times, into sternness. The eye alone indicated the character and temperament. It was large and of a dark cast which glowed, literally glowed when he spoke with feeling or interest. I never saw such another eye in a human head.
For some months I have been rambling o'er the country, but of late I have been confined with some lingering complaint in the stomach. To divert my spirits a little, this miserable fog of ennui, I have taken a whim to give you a history of myself. Robin Schurenhurst, I share wi' him fainted you could I, get a sack by him, I get up to dance, to what power a blame at his daddy's head, who made me but Robin. Robin Schurenhurst, I share wi' him fainted you could I, get a sack by him, was na Robin Ball, though I was a cotter, played me such a trick, and me the eldest daughter. Robin Schurenhurst, I share wi' him fainted you could I, get a sack by him. Robin promised me all my winter victual, for now he had but 3 goose feathers and a whittle. Robin Schurenhurst, I share wi' him fainted you could I, get a sack by him. My ancestors rented land of the noble chiefs of Marischal, and had the honour to share their fate. I mention this circumstance because it threw my father on the world at large, where after many years of wanderings he picked up a large quantity of observation and experience to which I am indebted. During his early residence in Ayrshire, a rumour was circulated that he had fought for our old line of princes in the fatal 1745. His austere and somewhat stately manners caused him to be looked upon as a man who had a secret in reserve which he desired to conceal. And, as a report of this kind was not calculated for his good, he procured a contradiction from the hand of his native clergyman, acquitting him of all participation in the late rebellion. The small birds rejoice in the green leaves returning, the murmuring streamlet winds clear through the vale, the primroses blow in the dews of the morning, and wild scattered cowslips bedeck the green dale. But what can give pleasure, or what can seem fair, when the lingering moments are numbered by care? No birds sweetly singing, nor flowers gaily springing, can soothe the sad bosom of joyless despair. I have met with few who understood men, their manners and their ways equal to him. But stubborn, ungainly integrity and headlong, ungovernable irascibility are disqualifying circumstances. Consequently, I was born a very poor man's son. The deed that I dared, could it merit their malice? A king and a father to sit on his throne. His right are these hills, and his right are these valleys, where wild beasts find shelter, but I can find none. But 'tis not my suffering thus wretched, forlorn, my brave gallant friends can I make it no sweeter return. For the first 6 or 7 years of my life, my father was gardener to a worthy gentleman of Ayr. In my infant and boyish days, I owed much to an old maid of my mother's, remarkable for her credulity and superstition. She had the largest collection of tales and songs concerning witches, fairies, and ghosts. This cultivated the latent seeds of poesy, but had so strong an effect in my imagination that to this hour, in my nocturnal rambles, I sometimes keep a lookout in suspicious places, and though nobody can be more sceptical than I, yet it often takes an effort of philosophy to shake off these idle terrors. A love will venture in where it dunna will be seen. A love will venture in where wisdom once has been. But I will down your river rove among the woods the green, and ought to pull a posy to my ain dear me. The primrose I will pull, the firstling of the year, and I will pull the pink, the emblem of my dear. For she's the pink of womankind and blooms without a fear, and ought to be a posy to my ain dear me. I'll pull the budding rose when Phoebus weeps in view, for it's like a balmy kiss of a sweet and bonny moo. The hyacinths for constancy with its unchanging blue, and ought to be a posy to my ain dear me. The liliet is white and the liliet is fair, and in her lovely bosom I'll place the lily there. The daisy's for simplicity and unaffected air, and ought to be a posy to my ain dear me. The hawthorn I will pull with locks of silver grey, where like an aged man it stands at break of day, but the songster nest within a bush I wouldn't take away, and ought to be a posy to my ain dear me. The woodbine I will pull when the evening star is near, and the diamond drops of dew shall be her ain so clear. The violets for modesty which will she's forced to wear, and ought to be a posy to my ain dear me. I'll tie the posy in with a silken band of love, and I'll place it in her breast and swear by all above that to my latest afterlife the band shall ne'er remove, and this will be a posy to my ain dear me. Polemical divinity was putting the country half mad, and I ambitious of shining in conversation parties on Sundays between sermons and funerals, used in future years to puzzle Calvinism with so much heat and indiscretion that I raised a hue and cry of heresy against me. Yestreen I had a pint of wine, a place where bodies sauna. Yestreen the honest priest of mine, the golden locks of Anna. The hungry few in wilderness rejoicing o'er their manna, was nathan to my honey bliss upon the lips of Anna. Ye monarchs, take the east and west, free and distant Savannah. Give me within my straining grasp the melting form of Anna, that I'll despise imperial charms and empress or sultana, while dying raptures in her arms I give and take with Anna. I war the flaunting god of day, I war thou pale Diana. I'll start to hide thy twinkling ray when I do meet my Anna. Come in thy raven plumage night, sun, moon and stars withdrawn, and bring an angel pen to write my transports with my Anna. The cock and state may join and tell, to do such things I'm on. The cock and state may gang to hell, and I'll go to my Anna. She is the sunshine of my E, to live but her I canna. Had I on earth but wish to see, the bar should be my Anna. The old light enthusiasts aspire to be ranked with the purest of the Covenanters. They patronise austerity of manners and humility of dress, and stigmatise much that the world loved as things vain and unessential to salvation. The new light countenance no such self-denial. Men were permitted to gallop on Sunday, to make merry and enjoy themselves. The former thought that faith and faith alone was the light that led to heaven. The latter thought a cheerful heart was an acceptable thing with God. The whole land rang with mystical discussions on effectual calling, free grace, and predestination. We lived poorly. I was a dexterous ploughman for my years, and the next eldest to me was a brother who could drive the plough very well and help me to thrash. A novel writer might have viewed these scenes with satisfaction, but so did not I. My indignation boils at the recollection of the tyrant's threatening letters, which used to set us all in tears. My heart is gay, and uncle way, to think upon the raging sea that roars atween her garden screen and the bonny lass of Albany. This lovely maid of noble blood that ruled Albion's kingdoms three, but oh alas, for her bonny face the blind lass of Albany. In the rolling tide of Stred and Clyde, there sits an isle of high degree, and a tune of fame, whose princely name should grace the lass of Albany. But there is a youth, a wickless youth, that fills the place where she should be. We'll send him o'er to his native shore and bring her in sweet Albany. And cursed the day, and woe the day, a false usurper won the degree that new commands the towers and lands, the royal right of Albany. We'll daily pray, we'll nightly pray, on bended knee, most fervently, that the time may come, with pipe and drum, welcome him, sweet Albany. This kind of life, with the cheerless gloom of a hermit and the unceasing moil of a galley slave, brought me to my 16th year, a little before which I first committed the sin of rhyme. You know our country custom of coupling a man and woman together as partners in labours of harvest. In my 15th autumn, my partner was a bewitching creature who just counted an autumn less. In short, she altogether, unwittingly to herself, initiated me in a certain delicious passion, which, in spite of gin-horse prudence and bookworm philosophy, I hold to be the first of human joys, our dearest pleasure here below. I did not well know myself why I liked to loiter so much behind with her whilst returning in the evening from her labour, why the tones of her voice made my heartstrings thrill like an Aeolian harp, and why my pulse beat so furiously when I looked over her hand to pick out the nettle stings and thistle. Among her other love-inspiring qualifications, she sung sweetly, and 'twas her favourite reel to which I attempted giving an embodied vehicle in rhyme. I was not so presumptive to imagine I could make verses like printed ones, composed by men who had Greek and Latin. But she sang a song which was said to be composed by a small country laird's son on one of his father's maids with whom he was in love. And I saw no reason why I might not rhyme as well as he, for excepting smearing sheep and casting peats, his father living in the moor, he had no more scholarcraft than I had. Thus with me began love and poesy. Oh, once I loved a bonny lass, and I love her still. And whilst that virtue warms my breast, I love my handsome Nell. As bonny lasses I have seen, and many foolish braw, but for a modest, graceful mien, the like I never saw. A bonny lass, I will confess, is pleasant to the eye, but without some better qualities, she's no the lass for me. But Nellie's looks are blithe and sweet, and what is best of all, her reputation is complete and fair without a flaw. She dresses so clean and neat, both decent and genteel, and then there's something in her gait gars ony dress look weel. A gaudy dress and gentle air may slightly touch the heart, but it's innocence and modesty that polishes the dark. 'Tis this in Nellie pleases me, 'tis this enchants my soul, for absolutely in my breast she reigns without control. In my 17th year, to give my manners a brush, I went to a country dancing school. My father had an unaccountable antipathy towards these meetings, and my going was in defiance of his commands. He was a sport of strong passions, and from that instance of rebellion he took a kind of dislike to me, which I believed was one cause of that dissipation which marked my future years. I only say dissipation comparative with the strictness and sobriety of Presbyterian country life. Amid all his toils and trials, he remembered the worth of religious instruction and the usefulness of education in the rearing of his children. He set, too, the example which he taught. He abstained from all profanity, and shunned all approach to levity of conversation or behaviour. A weekday in his house wore the sobriety of a Sunday. I now began to be known in the neighbourhood as a maker of rhyme. One of my pieces alarmed the Kirk session so much that they had several meetings to look over their holy artillery to see if any of it was pointed against profane rhymers. Unluckily for me, my idle wanderings led me on another side, point blank within the reach of their heaviest metal. Louis, what reck I by thee, or Geordie on his ocean? Leave a beggar loons to me, I reign in Jeannie's bosom. Let her crown my love her law, and in her breast enthrone me. Kings and nations swift to war, refrandies I disown ye. In Mauchline there dwell 6 proper young belles, the pride of the place in its neighbourhood. Oh, their carriage and dress, a stranger would guess, in London or Paris had gotten it all. Miss Miller is fine, Miss Muglin's divine, Miss Smithy is wit and Miss Betty is braw. It's beauty and fortune to get with Miss Morton, but I must say Chula for me of them all. In Morton there dwell 6 proper young belles, the pride of the place in this neighbourhood, oh, their carriage and dress, the stranger would guess, in London or Paris is golden at all. Miss Miller is fine, Miss Meaglin's divine, Miss Smithy is wit and Miss Betty is braw, Miss Beauty and fortune to get with Miss Morton, but I must say Julia for me of them all. So began the affair with Jean Armour, which nearly gave me 1 or 2 of the principal qualifications for a place among those who have lost the chart and mistake the reckoning of rationality. In other words, lost the plot. I had for some time been skulking from covert to covert, under all the terrors of a jail, as her parents had uncoupled the merciless legal pack at my heels. As I had loved her near distraction, I had taken some previous steps to a private marriage. A man hae a wife, whatsoe'er she be, and she be a woman, that's enough for me. Buy broom besoms, so buy them new, fine heather ringers, set her never grew. If that she be bonny, I shall think her right. If that she be ugly, where's the odds at night? Buy broom besoms, so buy them new, fine heather ringers, set her never grew. Oh, and she be young, how happy shall I be? If that she be old, the sooner she will be. Buy broom besoms, so buy them new, fine heather ringers, set her never grew. If that she be fruitful, oh what joy is there. If she should be barren, less will be my care. Buy broom besoms, so buy them new, fine heather ringers, set her never grew. If she like a drappy, she and I'll agree. If she does not like it, there's an air for me. Buy broom besoms, so buy them new, fine heather ringers, set her never grew. Be she green or grey, be she black or fair, let her be a woman, I shall seek nae mair. Buy broom besoms, so buy them new, fine heather ringers, let her never grew. Young and simple was I when I lapped the dyke, knew I'm old and frail, I didn't step aside. Buy broom besoms, so buy them new, fine heather ringers, that I never grew. Young and simple was I when I'd lather slack, knew I'm old and frail and lie at Nancy's back. Buy broom besoms, so buy them new, fine heather ringers, that I never grew. Had she gied me butter, when she gied me breed, I would look at Balder wi' my belly heat. Buy broom besoms, so buy them new, fine heather ringers, that I never grew. Her parents, in detestation of my being a poor devil, not only forbade me her company, but on my rumoured West Indian voyage got a warrant to incarcerate me in a jail, till I could find security in my about-to-be paternal relation. I had taken my last farewell of my few friends. My chest was on the road to Greenock. I had composed my last song I should measure in Caledonia, and given up my part of the farm to my brother to make what little preparation was in my power for Jamaica. The gloomy night is gathering fast, loud roars the wild in constant blast. Yon murky cloud is foul with rain, I see it driving o'er the plain. The hunter now has left the moor, the scattered covies meet secure, while here I wander, pressed with care, along the lonely banks of air. The autumn morns are ripening corn, by early winter's ravage torn. Across her placid azure sky she sees the scowling tempest fly. Till runs my blood to hear it rave, I think upon the stormy wave. where many a danger I must bear, far from the bonny banks of Ayr. 'Tis not the surging billows roar, 'tis not that fatal deadly shore, though death in every shape appear, the wretched have no more to fear. But round my heart the ties are bound, that heart transpierced with many a wound. These bleed afresh, these ties I bear, to leave the bonny banks of Ayr. Farewell, old Coila's hills and dales, her heathy moors and winding vales, the scenes where wretched fancy roves, pursuing past unhappy love. Farewell, my friends, farewell, my foes, my peace with these, my love with those, the bursting tears my heart declare. Farewell, the bonny banks of Ayr. Before leaving my native country forever, I resolved to publish my poems. I weighed my production as impartially as was in my power. It was a delicious idea that I should be called a clever fellow, even though it should never reach my ears. To know myself had been all along my constant study. I weighed myself alone, and balanced myself with others. I watched every means of information, how much ground I occupied, both as a man and a poet. I studied assiduously nature's design, in which she seemed to have intended the various light and shade of my character. You know my lucky reverse of fortune. On my eclectic return to Mauchline, I was made very welcome to visit my girl. But when I was in that time laid up a cripple in Edinburgh, she was turned out of doors. So I wrote to a friend to shelter her to my return. I was not in the least verbal obligation to her, but her happiness or misery were in my hands, and who could trifle with such a deposit? On reason build resolve, the column of true majesty in man. Of all the earths the wind can blow, I dearly love the west, for it's there the bonny lassie lives, the lass that I love best. Let rivers roar and wild woods grow on my knees a hill atween. Ah, but day and night my fancy's flight is ever with my Jean. And I see her in the dewy flowers, I see her sweet and fair. I hear her in the tuneful birds, I hear her charm the air. And there's no bonny flower that springs by fountain shore green, and there's no bonny bird that sings that minds me of my Jean. And I see her in the dewy flowers, I see her sweet and fair. I hear her in the tuneful birds, I hear her charm the air. And there's no bonny flower that springs by fountain shore green, and there's no bonny bird that sings but minds me of my Jean. Circumstanced as I was, I could never have got a female partner who could have entered my favourite studies and relished my favourite authors without entailing on me at the same time expensive living and apish affection. I forget that I am a poor, insignificant devil, unnoticed and unknown, stalking up and down fairs and markets when I happen to be in them, reading a page or two of mankind, and catching the manners living as they rise, whilst the men of business jostle me on every side as an idle encumbrance in their way. Poets of all mankind feel most forcibly the powers of beauty. As if they are really poets of nature's making, their feelings must be finer, and their taste more delicate than most of the world. In the cheerful bloom of spring, the grandeur of summer, the pensive mildness of autumn, or the hoary majesty of winter, the poet feels a charm unknown to the rest of his species. Even the sight of a fine flower, or the company of a fine woman, by far the first of God's works below, has sensations for the poetic heart that the herd of man are strangers to. My love is like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. My love is like a melody that's sweetly played in June. As fair thou art, my bonny lass, stay deep in love am I, and I will love thee still, my dear, till all the seas gang dry, till all the seas gang dry, my dear, and rocks melt with the sun. I will love thee still, my dear, while the sands of life shall run. And fare thee weel, my only love, oh fare thee weel a while, and I will come again, my love, though it were 10,000 miles, though it were 10,000 miles, my love, though it were 10,000 miles, I will come again, my love, though it were 10,000 miles. Man feels a consciousness of something within him above the trodden clod, the grateful reverence to the natural early authors of his being, the burning glow when he clasps the woman of his soul to his bosom, the tender yearnings of heart for the little ones to whom he has given existence. These nature has poured in milky streams about the human heart, and the man who never rouses them into action by the inspiring influences of their proper object loses by far the most pleasurable part of his existence. There's naught but care on every hand, and every hour that passes, oh, what signifies the life of man if it lives nae far the lasses, oh. The worldly race may riches chase, and riches still may fly them all, and though at last they catch them fast, their hearts can ne'er enjoy them all. Green grow their ashes, oh, green grow their ashes, oh. The sweetest hours a day I spent was spent among the lasses, oh. But give me a canny hour at my arms about my dearie, oh. And worldly cares and worldly men may all get up so teary, oh. For you say dus, you sneer at this, you're not but senseless lasses, oh. The wisest man the world ever saw, he dearly loved the lasses, oh. Green grow the ashes, oh. Green grow the ashes, oh. The sweetest hours that e'er I spent were spent among the lasses, oh. Old nature swears the lovely dear, her noblest work she classes, oh. Her prentice horn she tried on man, and then she made the lasses, oh. Green grow their ashes, oh. Green grow their ashes, oh. The sweetest hours that e'er I spent were spent among the lasses, oh. Green grow their ashes, oh. Green grow their ashes, oh. The sweetest hours that e'er I spent were spent among the lasses, oh. Can it be possible that when I resign this frail, feverish being, I shall still find myself in conscious existence, when the last gasp of agony has announced that I am no more to those that knew me? When the cold, unconscious corpse is resigned into the earth to be the prey of unsightly reptiles, and to become in time a trodden clod, shall I yet be warm in life? Ye venerable sages and holy flames, is there any probability in your baseless visions and fabricated fables? If there is another life, it must only be for the just, the amiable, and the humane. What a flattering idea, then, is the world to come. Would to God I as firmly believed it as I ardently wish it. There I should meet an aged parent, now at rest from the many buffetings of a cruel world, against which he so long and bravely struggled. There should I, with speechless agony of rapture, again recognise my lost, my ever dear Mary, whose bosom was fraught with truth, honour, constancy, and love. Behold, my love, how green thy groves, the primrose banks how fair. The balmy gales awake the flowers, and wave thy flaxen hair. The lavrock shuns the palace gay, and o'er the cottage sings. For nature smiles as sween, I ween, to shepherds as to kings. Let minstrel sweep the skilful string in lordly lighted hall. The shepherd stops his simple reed, blithe in the Birkinshaw. The princely revel may survey a rustic dance with scorn, but are their hearts as light as ours beneath the milk-white horn? The shepherd in the flowery glen in shepherd's phrase will woo. The courtier tells a finer tale, but as his heart is true, these wildwood flowers are put to deck that spotless grace to thine. The courtier's gems may witness love, but 'tis no love like mine. 'Tis no love like mine. 'Tis no love like mine. Jesus Christ, thou amiablest of characters, I trust thou art no impostor, and that thy revelation of blissful scenes beyond death and the grave is not one of the many impositions that time after time have been palmed on credulous mankind. I trust that in thee shall all the families of the earth be blessed, by being yet connected in a better world, where every tie that bound heart to heart in this state of existence shall be far beyond our present conceptions, more endearing. Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and old lang syne? And surely you'll be at your pint stip, and surely I'll be at mine, and we'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne. For old lang syne, my Joe, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne. We twain borrowed o'er the braes and put the gowans fine, but we've wandered many a weary fit sin old lang syne. Aye, we twain paddled in the burn frae morning sun till dine, but the seas between us made it roared sin old lang syne. For old lang syne, my Joe, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for old lang syne. And here's a hand, my trusty fear, and here's a hand o' thine, and we'll take